Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I'm Sandra Krinke, Product Marketing Manager with Zight, and I am super excited to be here with you all today for our webinar, Level Up with Zight. I'm going to be covering some exciting, kind of more advanced features that I hope will really help improve your productivity and make you more efficient in your daily workflows. A couple of quick housekeeping things. We are recording this video and we will be sharing a replay in a follow-up email. Also, we do have some time at the end for Q&A, but if you do have questions come up during the webinar at all, please do feel free to post that in the chat. Also, before we get started, we'd just love to do a really quick poll. If you'd all take a moment to maybe just post in the chat where you're located. I'd love to kind of see where everybody's from. We've got kind of an outstanding group of attendees here. So I'll give everyone a moment to do that. And just a little bit about me. I'm actually located in Minnesota Central Time. So it's about noon here or a few minutes after. I live north of the Minneapolis area, about 3 hours. So we're kind of in a little bit of a vacation resort area. It's beautiful up here, lots of lakes, trees, trails, the whole 9 yards. So really amazing for anyone who enjoys outdoor activities. So taking a look here, it looks like we've got kind of people from all over, from east to west coast, and even some global participants. So wow, that's amazing. Thank you again for just taking time out of your busy day to join us here today. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. First of all, just want to give you all a quick preview of what you can expect us to cover today. Like I said, kind of going through a variety of topics on some of our more advanced features. So we'll talk about uploading files and how to search for content. We'll go through templates, custom branding, and how to create a call to action button. We'll talk about transcriptions and captions, how to share your content securely, admin controls and analytics, how to invite team members into your workspace. We'll talk about our Slack integration. And then, like I said, we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. So if we don't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with uploading files and searching. So as many of you have likely experienced, the file uploading process can sometimes be really cumbersome. I remember just the other week, I was trying to upload a file to a different program, only to be told my file size was too big. Wow, this was like really frustrating, right? Because now my day has just become more unproductive. My workflow has been disrupted. I have to figure out another program to go get my file reduced, and really just complicates my day, right? So from file size limit restrictions to not having the right file type, any kind of error can be incredibly frustrating. And we really want our users to have that flexibility of uploading files without disrupting their workflow. So whether you're sending documentation with your colleagues, collaborating, transferring files, it's really important that our users have that seamless, hassle-free tool within Zight to make sure that they can upload their files quickly. So I'm actually going to navigate over to our Zight desktop application. I am on my Mac here. And as I open that up, I've got an upload button right here. Many of you may not have this in your primary actions, but if you do upload content frequently, you can go and click on more here, and then you can actually move these actions around. So going back to my desktop application, like I said, I'm simply just going to go ahead and click on upload. And then I can pick a file type here. We're just going to pick this nice little Zight logo and select that. In addition, you can also go over to the web application here, and there's a upload option on here as well. It goes through the exact same exercise of uploading files. So our free users are able to actually upload both image and video files, whereas anyone on a Pro, a Teams, or an Enterprise plan can upload essentially any file size, right? If you've got documents, PowerPoints, PDFs, and so on, you'll be able to upload all those different file types. So I'm just going to go ahead and upload that so you can see the couple of different logos that I went ahead and uploaded here. So super fast, super easy, and really just uploading and sharing a direct link is incredibly useful when you're sharing files. We all know that computer memory can quickly become an issue. So uploading those files to the cloud and then sharing that link directly is really going to help solve for that problem. And then in addition, I also mentioned that we were going to talk about how to search for files. So maybe you've created an awesome training video that you want to share with your new hire, but you can't find it. If you're anything like me, I have hundreds of Zight files, from screenshots to video recordings to gifs, and perhaps you just forgot to save that file into a collection. So we're going to search for training. And there it is. So any file type that would have that word training in the file name is going to appear in that search. So as you can see, it's super quick and super easy. And I do highly recommend when you are creating content that you do give your content a name, making it seamless for when you're trying to search for it. Great. Well, if we don't have any questions on that section, I'm going to go ahead and move into our next section: templates, custom branding, and creating a call to action. So here we're going to introduce you to really customizing your content with a custom template. This is a really great way to kind of package your Zight content, your videos, your screenshots, or your GIFs into a predefined design that you can reuse over and over again. So it's going to save you some time, whether you're creating a product demo, a sales note, or even a custom support response. And like I said, it just gives you that template to quickly grab and reuse over and over. As you can see, we do have an option to use a Zight predefined default template, or you can customize and create your own. So we're going to take a look at how this is in action within my web application here. So I'm going to go back over to my files, and I'm going to open a video or a piece of content that I've already created called Zight Intro. And for this particular use case, we're going to use the example of a salesperson who's going to be sending an intro video to a prospect. So if you can kind of navigate over to the right side of my screen where it says Apply Template, we're simply going to click on that. And I do want to show you, so I mentioned that we have default templates. We've got 4 different options in here that are really quick for, a grab and go, whether you've got a sales introduction. If you're a product manager or an engineer who frequently sends bug reports, that's a really great template to use. Customer support, or if you have an announcement from HR or even leadership. For today's example, I'm actually going to show you how to create a custom template from scratch. I'm going to simply click on Create. And then over here on the right under Template Name, you're going to want to go ahead and give your template a name. So for this, I might call it Sales Outreach because I'm sending a video to my sales prospects. In addition, you can also give your template a description. And this is a really great way to just remind yourself, hey, this is what this template is used for. So you can decide if you want a description in there. And then next we have this default title, which is also located over here on the upper left-hand corner. So you're going to want to give your piece of content a name. For this one, I'm just going to call it Zight Intro. And then you can also give that piece of content a description if you so choose. And then as we scroll down a little bit further here, you're going to notice a few other options. You can decide if you want your audience to be able to comment on your content, if you want them to react to it, which you can see down here on the bottom. We've got a thumbs up, thumbs down, a fire emoji, or a heart emoji. And then in here, you can also add a really quick custom button. So for this example, if I'm sending a video to a sales prospect, I might want to say something like book now, and then hyperlink it to my Calendly for them to easily go in and book a meeting with me. Next, we have custom security settings. So in templates, we have a couple of quick options to set your security in here, and you can share it with anyone with the link can access it, or anyone in your organization. And a little bit later on in this webinar, we're going to go into a little bit more in depth with our shared security settings for content. So right now, I'm just going to leave this as anyone with a link. And then in addition, you can also add this content to a collection. I already have a collection started here. So if I wanted to add this Zight intro to my collection, I simply check that box and add to collection.
And Sandra, we've actually got a question here that
Oh,
is
yeah, absolutely.
related both to the file upload, but I think really relevant to collections that you just had, is we've got a question about, can files be tagged? And I think that's a really good question related to collections.
Yeah. So are we referring to sharing like the collection file itself?
The question here is about file tagging. So probably placing it into some kind of grouping is what I imagine. And feel free to add more information there if there's more specific question, but I'm inferring it to be being able to add it to a specific group or put some kind of specific label or group label on it.
Okay. So with Zight, you have a couple of options with sharing your files. You can share them directly to a collection and give that collection a name, kind of like I just had showed you before. You can add it to a favorites. So kind of similar to tagging would be adding it to a favorites if you were to check the star here. And then you can navigate over on your dashboard and easily access all of your favorites. So kind of similar in that respect, but happy to elaborate further if there's anything more regarding how you can share that content. And then within your collections, you can actually share an entire collection with your audience as well. So you don't just have to share one piece of content, but if you have an entire collection for training and onboarding, you can go into that collection and then do a copy share link, and that entire collection will get sent over to them. Okay, perfect. So lastly here, before we hit save, we've got this custom branding option. So a really great way to leave kind of a lasting impression on whether it's your customers or your internal teams is to add that little element of custom branding and kind of put your own company's unique stamp on it. So as you can see, logo here, I've got this little Zight logo. I'm going to go into choose file, and I'm actually going to change that. And this would obviously be whatever logo you prefer to use. Your organization logo would probably make the most sense here. The file size for this one does need to be 200 by 200. So I have the accurate file size in here. And then in addition, you can add in a redirect URL. I'm just going to leave Zight.com in here for now, but that can be completely customized as well. Perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on Save and Apply Template. And then a couple of things to point out here that I did with that customization. So over to the left, you can now see that that logo has changed from Zight to that new logo, as well as on the top of my web browser here. It's no longer the Zight logo, but now it's completely customized. So anytime you share out your content with this template, it's going to be completely customized with that branding. So I think that's kind of a really cool piece that makes it feel unique to you and your own company versus more generic. And then with that, we're actually going to go ahead and move right into how to add a call to action button or a CTA button. And I'm going to open up a different piece of content and talk about another very common use case with customer success. We have a lot of customer success users out there. I'm sure many of you are sitting on this call right now, where you're probably sending a lot of videos, how-tos, and troubleshooting to your customers where you're trying to explain something over video. It's a great way to do that. But sometimes you might want to just add in another piece of documentation where you're like, hey, you're talking them through how to do something, but you want to refer them over to maybe an article or a piece of documentation for any kind of further explanation that they might need. So over here, again, on the right-hand side, you're going to see this button. I'm going to click on Add Button. A really quick shortcut, by the way, Use Last Settings is an awesome button to click if you've already previously used a button setting that you frequently use. You can just go ahead and click on that, and then it's going to automatically populate that information for you. Today, we're going to go through an example of creating a button from scratch, though. So button text here. So again, for this example with customer success and sending a video to your customer, learn more might actually be a very appropriate call to action here. Maybe when you're recording your video at the very end of it, you say, and be sure to click on learn more to get further documentation on how to, whatever the topic is that you're talking to them about. And then you're going to want to be sure to put in a URL that directs them to that documentation. So whether it's in your support center or another article located elsewhere on your website, you can put that URL directly in there. And then you can have a little fun with some custom branding. Maybe you want to use your company's brand colors. If you're not in marketing, I'm sure you've got a great team out there who can easily send you whatever that code might be for your hex or the brand guidelines if you have access to that within your organization, or you can just play around with some coloring right on Zight and change that out. You can also change the text color. As you see here, white's probably a really great choice in most cases because it's just nice and crisp. Another great option is to change the corner style of the button. So you can see as I'm changing it around, it goes from square to rounded to slightly rounded down here. And then another thing to take note of when you're looking to send a button or include a call to action button with your content is to make sure you decide where do you want that button to be. So right now I've got it below my content, which I think is a really great choice for this purpose. If I'm sending a how-to video troubleshooting, I just want my customer to have easy access to that button so they know exactly where to go. But you also do have the option to include a button only when the video ends. So if we go back to that sales example, it might be a great idea as you're talking through your introduction at the very end of your video to say, and be sure to book with me now. And then that call to action button automatically appears for them to book now through your Calendly or your other preferred meeting link. So like I said, going to go ahead and leave that below the content. And then we're just going to click on the save button.
Great. And Sandra, we actually have one more question that came in about templates.
Okay.
Are templates available for video content only, or can they be applied to other content type?
Yep, templates are available to both video and screenshots. The options are going to be the same options. You can do a default and you can do a custom template. Okay, great. So the next topic we're going to talk about is captions and transcriptions. And going to kind of take a different angle here as I introduce you to captions and transcriptions, because I think it's important to call out a couple of statistics out there. So if you didn't already know, there's an estimated 48 million Americans who are affected by hearing loss, right? So closed captions were really originally developed as an accommodation to provide this equivalent entertainment experience for deaf and hard of hearing people. So it really makes sense that content accessibility is really one of the most important parts of transcription. Another interesting fact that was uncovered is about 52% of students were reported at the Oregon State University study who found captions helpful as a learning aid and improving comprehension. So you can imagine as an educator, if you're recording a video for a student, kind of walking them through how to answer a question. Or maybe you're in HR and you're educating your employees on a new enrollment process, or even in product or support and you're educating new users on some of your additional features and maybe their functions. You can see how it would greatly benefit them by transcribing that content. So, and here's just a few more other benefits that go along with captions and transcriptions. In addition to the accessibility for the deaf or hard of hearing, there is a legal compliance. It's going to help improve that understanding and comprehension. It'll increase SEO and enhance that video search capability, and also the ability to translate into other languages. So a lot of benefits to think about with those captions and transcriptions. And again, I'm going to go ahead and navigate back over to my Zight dashboard here and show you how to make a transcription. So I'm going to scroll down just a little bit here. Perfect. And down here, you can see discussion. And next to that is transcription. So to request a transcription, I simply just click on this button and off it goes. As soon as your video or audio content is transcribed, you're actually going to get an email directly from Zight that might look a little something like this, letting you know that your content is ready, your transcription is available to view, and giving you a link with easy access to preview that content. Great. All right, and if there's no questions on that section, I'm going to go ahead and move into secure sharing. So now that—
Sorry, Sandra, we got one here really quick. And
yeah.
it says, how long do the transcriptions usually take to complete? It said 10 minutes. Does it usually take that long, or can it be shorter, or are there times it takes longer?
Yeah. So I know there was a little preview that probably said back here that your transcription could take up to 10 minutes to process. I can't think of an instance personally where I've seen it take up to 10 minutes. It's usually pretty instant. However, that will depend on the length of your content. If you've got a really long business update video, or if it's just a brief 2 or 3 minute update. So it will happen relatively quickly. You won't have to wait for hours or even days. So yeah, good question. Thank you for that. All right, so moving on here, I'm pushing buttons too fast. Next, we're going to talk about secure sharing. So now that we've kind of covered the exciting creating templates, adding branding, personalizing, how to transcribe, we're going to talk a little bit about how to share your content or your video securely, whether you're sharing it with a prospect, with a customer, with your team, or even a student. And at Zight, ensuring that our users' content and data is protected is really of utmost priority. And I like to think of protecting content a little bit like assigning access to an exclusive event, right? We've all been to some kind of event where everybody has different types of access. And with Zight, you get to be the mastermind of allocating that right level of protection for the people that you're sending your content to. So some are going to get VIP access with a special passcode. Another might get reserved seating where they need to give their email, while others are going to get general admission with a link that anyone can access. And in addition to this, you can also set expiration dates, simple timelines like a day or a week, to more advanced options like within a certain time frame or a certain number of views. So we're going to go over to our web application once again and just see what this looks like and talk about some of those options. So under this share option here, you can see that right now it says anyone with a link can view. So I'm going to go ahead and edit that and show you all of the different options to help keep your content secure. So in addition to that, we have the option to do anyone with a link and passcode can view. This is really a great option if you have confidential information, say that you're sharing out with a customer and you don't want anyone else to be able to access except for that person with that particular passcode. You can also have anyone can view in your organization. So maybe you're a business leader sending out a quarterly update. This would be a great option to ensure that only people within your organization have access to preview that content. You can also choose anyone can edit in your organization. So you might wonder, well, why would I want someone to edit my piece of content? I'm sharing it with them to preview, right? Well, I can tell you firsthand as a marketer, I use this option all the time. I take a lot of screenshots. I collaborate with my marketing team, and we use it for taking screenshots and annotating. For example, on website design changes, we might be collaborating back and forth. And instead of lengthy chat threads, I can easily share my annotated screenshots with my thoughts and ideas and allow my team to also be able to edit and annotate and add their commentary. You also have a couple more options. Anyone, as long as they give their email address, can view, or only emailed people can view. And then I also mentioned that there are some of those more advanced options here with deciding maybe you want it to expire after 100 views, for example. Or perhaps there's just a date that you want it to expire on. By the end of the month, you don't want that to be accessible anymore. So I'm going to change this back to never. And then I'm going to go ahead and save those share settings. So it's pretty quick, easy, and seamless. And now we've kind of went through that full exercise of Again, creating templates, adding that branding, how to share your content securely, putting in those transcriptions. And now you're ready to go ahead and share that content with your intended audience.
Got a few questions here, Sandra.
Yep.
Is for the only emailed can view, does this only work when we email them directly the link? What if we email them the link outside of Zight?
Email them the link outside of Zight, as in just an email like a Gmail or a Slack message. I guess I'm not sure. I'm totally
yes,
clear.
if you sent them an email with like a Gmail email just out of your Gmail with a link to the Zight content.
Okay, so let's go back in and look at that. Let's make sure that we're clear on what that question is so everyone can see what we're talking about here. So it was the last one here, only emailed people can view. So yeah, anyone who is emailed with this link. So if I save those share settings and I copy the link and I send an email, only anyone who I email that link would have that ability to preview. And you can do that by just sharing their email directly in here. If I were to type in, someone's email.
So yes, the answer is yes. You would need to identify in Zight who you are emailing that to through this.
Correct. Yes, thank you.
Because otherwise the system wouldn't be able to tell who you were meaning to email that to.
Yes. Yep, perfect. All right, great. So our next section here, we're actually going to dig into a little bit on some of our advanced analytics and a little preview of some admin controls. And I'm going to bring up a piece of content that has a little bit of analytic information that I can share with you here. This is a really great way to quickly preview, let's say, how many views you had, right? You can see that, these couple of people previewed my content, and this is the percent that they viewed. And with our teams, our enterprise, and our pro plans, you'll really have access to even greater insights. And I'm going to show you a quick little screen share of what that looks like here. So not only will you have access to see who has previewed your email, what percent they viewed, you can view the date and the time and really uncover a lot of information that's going to help you drive some of those business decisions. And as you can see from my screenshot here, under email, this is intentionally blurred out. So there are email addresses in there, but I wanted to use our screenshot and annotate and blur out the emails to protect the privacy of those who were part of this download here. So there are emails in there. I can see that some of them viewed it 100%. Some didn't quite make it all the way through. I can also see the date and the time that the content was previewed. And this is really helpful for a lot of different use cases. If I'm looking at this in the lens of, let's say, the salesperson we were talking about earlier, and I'm sending out those prospect videos, I might want to understand, why are most of the people I'm sending my intro videos to only previewing 50% of my content? Maybe my 10-minute video should be 5 minutes. You can really use some of these analytics to determine how to make better decisions when you're recording content and kind of improve those percentages of viewed content. And I'm going to just jump back here one quick second here. So to get to what the screen that I was just looking at, all you do down here is click on the export list as a CSV file. And then before we go on to the last couple of sections here, I just wanted to give you a little peek into one of our settings here, because I mentioned that we would talk about admin controls. So a sneak peek into some of our admin controls with inviting team members to your workspace, and also a little sneak peek into what's coming next with our webinars. You can expect to see an invite coming out in about a September webinar that's going to be specific to our admin users. So we're going to do kind of a very deep dive into the admin controls and capabilities, but wanted to kind of just give you a quick little idea of a few things you can do to expand your team and to invite members into your workspace, because it really is incredibly easy to do that. So one option, again, is to just go into your settings. I'm on workspace, and then I clicked on members. And then I'm simply just going to type in their email address and invite that member by clicking on this button. I can also make them a view only user by checking that box. Or I can just simply share the link with them by clicking this copy link and then pasting it into an email, a Slack message, or whatever your preferred communication channel might be. And then if I go back to my dashboard as a user, you can also invite team members to your workspace. And I think this is a really great option because what better way to work together in an amazing productivity tool than to work with other teammates who are also using that same productivity tool. So if you have a team member who maybe joined your department from another department or a new member that you're onboarding, this is just a really quick and easy way for them to get access to your workspace. They'll get an email inviting them, going through that onboarding process of signing up for Zight. And then you'll all be working together and collaborating within our Zight application. Great.
Okay, we've got a few more questions that came in about sharing settings and transcription. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into those. Is one for sharing settings. Can Zight videos be embedded? I know the answer to that is yes. So if you want to kind of show where they can access that embed information.
Yep, so we're talking about share settings. And then so we've got some different embedding options down here. So you can share via social media or you can embed into your email or your Gmail just through this link right in here. That's a quick and easy way to go ahead and do that. Yep. And did you have another question?
And the other question that we have there is around transcriptions. And are there additional costs for any of the transcriptions for enterprise accounts? And I know enterprise accounts, transcriptions can be of any video length. For enterprise accounts, that is one of our great enterprise features that's available.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And just kind of going back into that video that we transcribed, as I told you, it's very quick. My video is already completely transcribed here. So you can see just how quickly that happens. All right, great. Well, thanks for hanging in there, guys. We are nearing the end of the webinar. I've just got one other final feature to talk about. Actually, one of my favorite integrations here. So Zight is actually integrated with a lot of productivity tools. In addition to Slack, we're also integrated with Microsoft Teams, Jira, Confluence, Zendesk, and Lucid. These integrations are really making the lives of our users so much easier because they're creating content directly in their workflow and sharing with their teams, and they're not experiencing any disruptions within their workflow. So for today's demo, I'm actually going to talk about one of our latest integrations in Slack. If you want more information on any of the other integrations that I've mentioned, you can go ahead and go over to our website at zight.com and then search for integrations. So as you know, Slack is really a very powerful integration. Like I said, I live and breathe out of it every day. I'm guessing a lot of you do as well. So it really allows our users to get the most out of Zight, like I said, without disrupting your workflow, meaning you don't have to leave your workspace. So what does this look like? Let's talk about engineers. As an example, you might find yourself oftentimes communicating a lot of complex information, maybe typing out paragraphs of content, which is not only time consuming, but it doesn't always provide that level of clarity and understanding. And it can leave your teammates confused and cause more back and forth, wasted times over chat messages. So instead, solution to solve for that problem. And to integrate Zight into your Slack, you can simply go over to apps in Slack, and then you're simply going to type on Zight. You'll see this option pop up, Zight Screen Recorder. You'll go ahead and click on that. And then once you're ready to actually record a Zight screen recording, you'll simply type in /Zight. And as soon as you hit enter, you're going to be prompted to click to start recording. And this is all happening in your Slack application. Once you click on start recording, you're going to be directed to start recording your video. It's going to prompt you with an audio and webcam option. And then it's as simple as a 3, 2, 1 countdown to get your video recorded. Once you have your video recorded with Zight, you don't have to do anything, meaning you don't have to go figure out how to copy that video and how to paste that video, because that message that you were in with your team or your Slack channel has already pasted your content directly into that message. So you can see that preview right down here. And then to make it even easier, a couple of things. Once your teammate or your team has previewed that video, they can now, within that workflow, reply to that video by clicking on this button, meaning they don't have to go outside of Slack. They don't need to find where that Zight icon is located on their desktop. They can reply with a video directly in Slack, and you can have that back and forth efficient collaboration happening right within Slack. And then one of my favorite things about Zight with Slack is instant notifications, because who doesn't love seeing that instant gratification of knowing that your video was watched? Think about it. If you're outside using a different tool, a different video recording tool, sending in an email to a group of people, or even just one person on your team, you don't know if they opened that email. You don't know if they looked at that video if you're not using Zight in Slack. So this is kind of one of our like aha moments where it's like kind of refreshing to know that your content was not only received, but that it was watched by your teammates. So you'll get this instant notification, for example, when someone watched your video for the first time. So I'm going to just quickly pause there for a second. That was kind of a lot talking about Slack, but like I said, one of our very powerful integrations that is really making a difference in not only our team at Zight's workflow, but many of our users as well.
And I do have a couple questions here. So one of the questions is, how can I use or integrate with Zight? And we do have an SDK if you're looking to become a partner, similar to how we integrate with Slack, Microsoft Teams, and some of the other integrations we mentioned. We do have an SDK available where you can integrate Zight technology directly into whatever your application is and connect with us as well. And we can connect with you after this webinar to get you more information on that. And then we've got another question about, where can I create videos in Slack and where are they saved?
Yep. So creating videos in Slack, let me back up a step here to make sure that you all saw how to make that happen here. So on this section here, you're going to want to go into a new message. So that just might be a message between you and your teammate, or it could be within a Slack channel, either one. And then you'll just follow those simple prompts of hitting the back or / Zight. And then that's where you get navigated to click to start recording. All of the Zight videos that you create in Slack are saved to your Zight account. So you don't have to worry about them, off in the cloud floating around somewhere. They are still part of your Zight content that can be easily accessible on both our web and desktop application. All right, great. So that's a wrap. I feel like that went really quickly, but thank you for sticking with me, everyone. Really, really great questions. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to be following up with an email with not only a replay, but links to a lot of great resources. Before we go, if there's any other questions that I can help answer, I'm happy to do so. All right, great. Awesome. Well, again, thank you all for joining me today. It's been awesome being here and walking you through some of our more advanced features. I hope that you all learned something new and new ways to be more productive, more efficient in your day. So hope you have a fabulous day, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.